Hello, everyone. Welcome to Transition Thursday. My name is Latifa Olatunde, and I am an international student advisor at Lakehead University. Today, we'll be covering how to be a successful online learner. And today with me, I have Richard Clark, the Student Success Advisor. I have Michael Marinese, our Welcome Desk Receptionist. And I also have one of our student assistants, Alexandra Rajasiankas. If you can turn on your videos and introduce yourself briefly, and then we'll get started.
Hi, everyone. My name is Richard. I work in the Student Success Center here at Lakehead University. A big part of my job is helping students with their academics, not necessarily as a tutor, but just helping make sure that you know how to approach your academics and help you develop some skills to do better in your classes. So that's me.
Hi, I'm Michael Marinese, and Welcome Desk Receptionist, and doing all the greeting and a lot of administrative work in the background as well. I'm happy to see so many people here. Alexandra.
Hi guys, my name is Alexandra, and I am from Peru. I'm studying commerce at Lakehead University, so nice meeting you guys.
Thank you. Things to remember. So if you like what you see, make sure to like this video. We'll be sending a link to the recording afterwards. If you have any questions, please ensure to use the Q&A function to submit any of your questions to us. And Mike and Alexandra will be sure to respond as quickly as they can. And stay connected. Follow us on social media for any updates about our future webinars to get an insider view of Lakehead University. So I'll pass it back on to Richard to get the presentation started.
Great, thanks, Latifa. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm just going to share my screen here. So we are going to talk about successful online learning. It's very exciting. So as we know, most of our classes this year are online or some sort of modified delivery model, which has some challenges to it. It's also has some really cool opportunities. It allows you to be a bit more flexible a lot of the time. But anyway, we're going to go through some of what I think is really important information for doing a great job of being a student, getting the best marks you can get online. A lot of what I'm talking about though today also applies to in-person classes. The differences aren't as huge as you might think. So let's get going. First off, you need a study space. It's really, really important that you find some way to have a dedicated study space. If you can reserve a space in your home for schoolwork, do that. If it's in your bedroom and you have a desk in your bedroom, great. Don't use that desk for anything else. It's not where you put your half-dirty clothes. It's not where you keep your snacks for the next day. It is where you do schoolwork, and that is all. If you're going to use a more public spot like your kitchen table, I would really recommend not having anything else going on in there while you're doing schoolwork. And we can talk about how to set up your time in a little bit. But yeah, one space just for schoolwork really makes a big difference. When you're doing your schoolwork, let's say you're using a desk, only have your materials for one class at a time on your desk. Because if you're working on your history paper, you're doing reading for history class, for example, but your math book is sitting beside you, since you're supposed to be doing history, math is going to seem way more interesting and you're going to get distracted by it. But then as soon as you open your math book, suddenly you're going to be interested in history again. You're going to go back and forth. It works much better. It's less distracting and more productive to do one thing at a time. Same thing applies to computers. If you're working on history on your computer, don't have all your other documents open. Don't have things for your other classes open. Don't have your Instagram feed or Facebook feed or any of that stuff open. Just have what you're working on open so that you can do it and do it well. Which brings me to eliminating distractions. The fewer things trying to get your attention, the better. If you're somebody who gets easily distracted, like me, a great idea is to download everything that you need and then turn off the internet. That way you don't suddenly end up half an hour deep into Instagram when you're supposed to be doing your schoolwork. Most of your classes will have materials that you can download. Sometimes it'll be a video that you've got to stream, but for the most part, you can just download the readings or download the assignment or whatever it might be and work offline. And that is, if as much as you can do that, I would recommend doing it. Also, trying to do schoolwork in a room where there's somebody watching TV, making dinner, playing a board game, breathing, whatever they're doing in the room, they're going to be distracting and they're going to make you less able to concentrate on your work. So try as best you can to work somewhere where there aren't other people. Giving yourself breaks helps with distractions. If every hour you give yourself 10, 15 minutes off to check your social media, make a phone call, eat some food, whatever you need to do, go for a walk, then the time that you're working is going to be more productive because you're going to be less distracted. And our brains need resets, right? You can't be sprinting all the time. All right, we're going to get into a little bit about the mechanics of online learning right now at Lakehead. So my course link, which we also call D2L, stands for Desire to Learn, is, excuse me, that's our online learning platform. That's where your courses are all going to be based, and that's where your information for your courses, your readings, your lectures, pretty much anything to do with every course will be based in my course link. So you need to get to know it. The direct link is mycourselink.lakeheadu.ca. You can also get there through my info in the little 9 squares at the top right. You can click on those and it'll give you a my course link option. There also is a course created in my course link that you have access to right now. It's an orientation course. So it gives you lots of information about Lakehead University in general, but it also is a great practice for navigating my course link. I would strongly recommend that you sign into that, try it out, check out the course, learn a little bit, give it a go. So tips for using my course link. First of all, first thing you want to do is you want to read the course outline for every single course. Usually it's under the content tab, not always, but yeah, read it. And you want to visit every course at least a couple of times every week. Instructors are often posting new information, new assignments, new readings, etc. So 3 times at least every week for every course, you need to be in the My Course Link site just to check if there's anything new. Before the course starts, as soon as you get access to the course site, I would say go in and explore all the tabs. Click on everything, open everything, have a look through kind of the general ideas of the course to get an idea of where it's going. And like I said, read the course outline really, really well. This is a huge amount of reading. Be ready to do a lot of reading. This right here is the biggest difference between online learning and in-person learning, is that there's just more reading to do in the online version because a lot of the communication is going to be done through text. So please get ready for that. And if you budget your time for it and you plan on doing all this reading, then it's not so bad. It's when you don't expect it and it surprises you that it feels like it's too much. Participate in the discussions. So in my course link, there's a tab called Discussions. And under that tab, most courses have some kind of discussion forum. Sometimes it's just a chat for students to connect with one another. That's a great opportunity to meet others. Other times it's for marks. So sometimes the professor will pose a question and they want you to respond to it. Sometimes they will have students be responsible for posting questions and then responding to one another. So pay attention when your professor explains how to use the discussion, but do it. Participate lots. Sometimes it's a significant portion of your mark. I did a course recently where our participation in the discussion forums was worth about 15% of our final mark. That's easy marks. Just join in, meet people, talk, chat. And it's, like I said, also it's a great way to meet others and connect. My course link, or D2L, has some built-in how to use this stuff videos. They're really, really good. They're really helpful. If you're wondering how something works, or you're not sure, you don't think you're getting the most out of it, check out those videos, and they'll give you some insights on how to make better use of D2L. All right, so that's the electronic stuff. Now we're going to get into regular learning stuff, because reading and note-taking, this is in-person course skill, and this is online learning course skill. This is just essential student skills. First of all, reading. Your textbooks and the articles that the professors provide, use them to prepare. So a lot of our courses this year are going to be delivered through Zoom lectures. And if they're not delivered through Zoom lectures, you still need to prepare and be ready for when the new information comes. So at the start of the course, read your course outline. And in that course outline, most of the time, it's going to tell you what you need to read before each class. It's not what you need to read after each class, and it's definitely not what you need to read during each class. It's what you need to read before each class. If you have done the readings from your textbooks before you get to class, before you show up for the lecture, that lecture is going to make a lot more sense. You're going to have a much easier time following along. So a few tips for reading textbooks. First of all, textbooks are super boring. They're not fun to read. They're not designed to be fun to read. They're not really even designed to just be read. What they're designed for is to be resources. They're designed to be sources of information. So my quick tip for you right now, and there's way more about this topic on the Lakehead website in the Lakehead orientation course. You can also connect with me personally, and I can give you more information. But for now, a really good basic tip is don't just open your textbook and start reading it, because that's a great way to fall asleep, or at the very least forget everything you've read. Open your textbook, find the review questions for that chapter, and start answering those. In order to answer those questions, you're going to have to start looking through and reading all the content. And when you're looking for something specific, like the answer to a question, you're much more able to remember and internalize the information that you're coming across than if you're just trying to read it and absorb it all. So that's a trick that I really, really like. If your textbook doesn't have review questions, or if it's not a textbook but it's an article, first read all the headings, figure out what each paragraph is going to be about, and then make up a question for each of those paragraphs, for each of those headings, and then look for the answer. Like I said, it's just so much easier to remember when you're reading with a purpose. All right, note-taking. Note-taking is really, really important, especially during lectures, but even when you're reading. If you don't love the idea of answering the questions, at least take notes about your readings. But I'm going to talk about taking notes in class right now. First of all, do it by hand. When you try to type notes, the reason that typing notes seems like it's so great is that you can go really fast and you can record everything the professor says if you're a good typer. The problem with that is that if you're just copying what they're saying, you're not actually having to think about it. You're not actually remembering what they're saying. You're not understanding it. You're just copying. If you do it by hand, you have to go more slowly, which means that you have to put it into your own words, which means you're more likely to understand and remember it. If there are lectures and videos in your course, or like a lot of times professors will post videos in the D2L course, you take notes about those as well. After you take your notes, so while you're writing your notes, write fast, write as much as you can, copy down the general idea of what they're saying, not the exact words that they're saying. And then afterwards, so maybe within 24 hours of that class, look at those notes again and rewrite them. Because if you're writing really fast, chances are it's going to be really messy, kind of disorganized. So a really good thing to do is go through those notes again, rewrite them. Don't just copy them, but rephrase them. Put them into new words. Explain the topics. If you have to look something up in the textbook because you only got one word down, that's okay. That's a great time to do it. And make it more organized and easier to read afterwards. When you do this, it does two things. One is it makes the notes ready for you to study from later. It also means that you're now seeing the material again right after you had the class. So let's say you have a class on Monday, you take notes. On Tuesday, sit down and review and rephrase your notes. And now in 2 days, you've seen this information twice. It's going to be so much more fresh in your head. It's going to stay better in your head. You're going to remember it better. And then every week when you sit down to do your summaries of your lecture notes, reread and quiz yourself on the notes from weeks before. If you're seeing all the notes from every week, this sets you up for studying because you're going to know all the information really, really well. It's all going to be nice and fresh. So studying is going to be more about getting a deeper understanding of the content than it is about learning the content, because you don't need to learn it if you already know it. All right, studying. Let's talk about studying. You are going to still have tests and exams. That's just the way it is. They'll be different than in person. They'll be online. Sometimes they'll be open book. And people think, oh, good, it's an open book test. I don't have to study. Yes, you do. A lot of times open book tests are actually harder than regular tests because, well, you've got the resource there. And rarely is an open book test set up in a way that you'll have time to actually look things up. Usually you don't have enough time, so you still have to know the information. So like I said, if you review your notes every week from every class, it doesn't take long. That's a half an hour a week kind of thing per class. If you do that, then getting ready for tests is going to be much easier. At the end of this presentation, I've got a slide, and I'll get Latifa to pass out the resource that has what we call a 5-day study plan on it. It's a really good way to set up your study schedule so that you're seeing all the content more than once and that you're kind of reviewing it in a way that's effective and not just trying to cram it all into your brain. Basically, the 5-day study plan takes all the content of a course, breaks it up into small sections, and then you do one of those sections each day with a little bit of review. Doing that is way, way better than trying to learn a whole course or study a whole course all at once, even if you try to do that multiple times. So small sections, small sections, small sections with some review. That's the ticket. I'd also like to talk about I'm going to go back to that last one. This small sections of a course each day. If you don't believe me, if you think, oh no, when I'm studying for a test, I need to see all the material all at once and see it a couple of times. Think about it this way. If you want to lose 5 pounds, are you going to go to the gym for 12 hours in one day? Or are you going to go to the gym for 1 hour every day for 12 days? You're going to go for 1 hour every day for 12 days. Our brains work the same way. There's only so much we can cram in at once. So when you're studying, when you're trying to learn large amounts of information, break it up and do one small section, like maximum of 3 hours for a subject in a day, maximum in terms of studying, getting ready for exams. And then the next day, review what you did the day before, and then do another bunch of learning. It works so much better. Okay, supports. You have lots of supports in these courses. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. Ask is what you've got to do. A lot of students think that they can't ask for help. They have to do it on their own. So not true, right? Teamwork makes the dream work, as I like to say. So first line of support in your courses are your professors. They're the experts. They're the ones teaching you this information. So most of your professors will tell you how they want you to ask questions. Some of them will want you to send them emails. Some of them will want you to set up for appointments. There's lots of different ways that they want to do it. Look in your course outline. The information will be there. And follow what they say. Sometimes they have certain times that they can talk with students. Respect that. But yeah, they're a great person to ask if you don't understand something in a course. Or if you're not sure about how an assignment is supposed to go, check in with your professor for sure. Teaching assistants are upper year students or graduate students who are helping the professor with a course. These folks are really, really good because they also know the content really well because they've taken this course before, they would have done well in it, and they're there to help teach. So a lot of times, a big part of their job is answering your questions. So again, that information will be found in the course outline, and that's how you'll know how to get a hold of these people. Check with them first if you're having a hard time with the content. Your international student advisors are also really, really, really helpful people. So people like Latifa. Her job is to make sure you have what you need. So if you're struggling, if you're not understanding something, if you're confused, if you're, I don't know, lonely, whatever it is, send Latifa an email. She's really nice. And she'll set up a time to chat with you and figure out what we can do to make your studying experience more successful. Another really great support is other students. Those discussion forums I talked about in the My Course Link courses, that's a great place to ask questions. It's a great place to help one another. If you're taking a math course and you're not understanding a topic, say that in the discussion forum. Say, I don't understand how this works. Start a thread. Somebody will know. And guaranteed, if you don't understand it, somebody else in the class doesn't understand it too. So when you ask that question, you're helping them as well. Right? These are great ways to help each other and ask each other. So the discussion forums, there's also a Lakehead University app, mobile app, that will be launching at the end of July or very beginning of August, which also has discussion forums which will be divided by faculty. So you can connect with other students who are studying the same things as you. That'll be another great place to ask questions. Student success advisors, people like me. Like Latifa, my job is to make sure that our students at Lakehead have what they need and that they are able to be successful. So, and Latifa and I, we send people back and forth to each other all the time. So if you've got a question that Latifa doesn't know the answer for, I might have it, she might send you to me, and same with me. If you come to me and I don't really know, Latifa might, I'll send you to her. Either way, get in touch. We're here to help. We want to make sure that you are successful. I spend a lot of time meeting with students one-on-one to talk about study skills, to help them create their study plans, manage their time, all that kind of stuff. The academic support zone is another really, really useful place. Right now, it's not actually a place; it's online. But in the academic support zone, we have tutors who provide free tutoring support in groups for students, and it's all divided by program. So if you're taking biology, well, then there's a biology tutor, or psychology, and psychology tutor, business tutor, etc. Same with engineering. And what you do is you find the schedule on the Academic Support Zone website, which is part of the resources that I'll show at the end. You find the schedule and you find out when your program is being tutored, and you just show up to the Zoom session and you can ask questions. You can, sometimes the tutors will be kind of teaching a little lesson if there's a lot of people who have the same question. But it's a great opportunity to just ask questions. And this is another great spot where you can meet other students taking the same courses, learning the same stuff, and who have the same questions to be able to help each other out. The group tutoring that we've been finding group tutoring to be really successful for that reason. Students can help each other. That's just so helpful when you know that your peers can support you. The library is another really great support. Go to the library, go to the library website, connect with the librarians. Every program has what we call a liaison librarian. That information is on the Lakehead library site. And a liaison librarian is someone who part of their job is to help students from that program do research, write their papers. You can, excuse me. So you can book a time with your liaison librarian if you're writing a paper, if you're having to do research for a project, and they'll help you find your resources. They'll help you learn how to use the search engines, the academic search engines, and they are really, really good at it. please, 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 if you don't learn anything else from anything I say today, remember to ask the library for help with research, because it's what they do. There are tons of electronic resources available. The Student Success Center has a great big pile. It's on the Academic Support Zone website, and we have a big pile of just PDFs basically that you can download that will help you with your time management, that will help you with study skills, that will help you with note taking. All those will help you with writing. They're 1, 2, 3 pages. They're not super long documents, and they're really good information that kind of just helps you develop your skills. And on that note, please remember, if you don't know how to do something, it doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you don't know how, right? You can learn. So if you don't know, if right now you don't know how to write an academic essay, that's okay. We'll help you. The Academic Support Zone will help you. The writing coaches in the Academic Support Zone will help you. The library and the librarians, they can help you learn how to do these things. If you don't know how to do math, but you have to take a math course, that's okay. That's why you're here. You're here to learn. You're not here to just do what you already know how to do. So take advantage of things like these electronic resources to learn how to do school better. What a lot of students run into when they get to university is that they realize that they don't actually know how to learn. They know how to do school. They might know how to do math, but how to learn new things, that's a whole different set of skills that you need to work on. And it's kind of fun and kind of exciting, and let's work on it together. Okay, I'm going to get into a little bit about communication with your professors, especially. A lot of times people think that because it's online communication, because we're not talking in person, that we can be a little bit more casual. We don't necessarily have to use our manners. This is not true. Use your manners. Be very polite. These are some ideas that might help. The 7 C's of online communication is what we like to call them. First of all, clarity. Before you send an email to a professor, make sure that email says exactly what you want it to say. Make sure it's very clear. Get somebody else to read it even, to make sure that they can understand what you're asking. Because there's nothing worse than getting an email from a student and then at the end of it, you don't know what they've asked, right? This happens to me all the time, and it slows the whole process down. If I have to respond to the student and say, I don't know what you're asking, then they have to then rewrite it, send it back to me. Skip that whole step. Make sure that your email is clear. Completeness. Ask your whole question. If you have 2 questions, ask them both, right? Again, keep them clear. That's really important that you make sure that you say everything that you actually want to know. Conciseness. Be concise. If you can say something with 1 word, don't use 3. Keep it short. Keep it simple. Especially because your professors don't have a lot of time to be responding to long emails. So if you can ask a question in a short way, ask it in a short way. You'll get a better response, and you'll probably get a faster response. Concreteness. This kind of goes along with the clarity idea. Say something real. Don't try to avoid being very theoretical. Try to avoid being hypothetical. Try to avoid using, well, if this were to happen, then could this possibly ever be, maybe, what do you think? Say exactly what you're thinking and keep it in terms of real. So if you're struggling with a concept, say, I'm struggling with this specific concept. I'm struggling with this specific question. For example, I'm having a hard time with multiplication. I'm having a hard time with my 11 times tables is a way better way to say it than I'm having a hard time with math. Help me with math. That's not concrete. That's not clear. Correctness. This is 2 things. 1, make sure that what you're saying is true. That's really important. Right? If you're having a hard time with writing a paper, then say, I'm having a hard time with writing this specific paper, and this is what I've done so far. Tell them that part. Tell them what you've actually done. Don't say what you think you should have done. Don't say what you wish you had done. Just say what you have done. Make sure that what you're saying is true. The other side here of correctness is use real words. The letter U, right? So letter R, letter U, okay is not how you ask if someone is okay. Spell it out all the way. Check your punctuation, check your grammar. Download Grammarly and attach it to your web browser so that it works on your email. It'll help with this stuff. Make sure that you're communicating in a way that is correct. Courtesy, use your manners, be nice. This goes a really long way. The words please and thank you make a big, big, big difference, especially if a professor opens their email and they have 40 new emails since yesterday, all from students asking questions. The ones that are saying please and thank you are probably the ones that are going to get the nicest responses. And it doesn't hurt you in any way. And then be considerate. Expect that it's going to take probably a day or two to get a response from a professor. So sending somebody an email at 11 o'clock at night, asking for an answer by 7 o'clock the next morning, you're not going to get it. Be considerate of their time. Give as much time as you can. So if you have an assignment coming up and you're not sure about it, the day before it's due is not the time to ask questions. The week before it's due is a great time to ask questions. A month before it's due is even better. Be considerate of their time and expect that things are going to take a little while, especially now because our professors are also all learning about online teaching, right? They haven't taught all online before, just like you haven't learned all online before. So they're learning. So the more advanced notice we can give each other, the better. My last note here, do not hit send on an email until you've checked for all 7 of these. Is what I'm saying clear? Have I said everything I want to say so I don't have to send a second email? Have I used 3 words when 1 will do? Is what I'm saying true? Is my grammar okay? Am I being polite? And am I considering this person's needs? Check for those things. Okay, here we go. We're moving right along. Time management. Time management is super important, especially in an online learning environment. This is the biggest challenge with an online learning environment, is that you don't have anyone expecting to see you in class ever. So it's really easy to not show up. And it's really easy to get distracted. It's really easy to have YouTube going in the background while you're supposed to be watching a lecture on your computer. All these things are really easy. And that's a problem. So let's work on managing your time. First thing, choose some hours. Choose a time to start and a time to finish, and if you can make it the same every day, that's the best. And treat it like a job. So for example, if you're like, so let's say my work hours are 8:30 till 4:30, Monday to Friday. From 8:30 till 4:30, Monday to Friday, I'm at work. I'm not doing other things. Treat school the same way. So maybe your school hours are going to be 9 till 5 or 9 till 3, Monday to Friday. What you decide, but don't schedule other things during that time. If you're a night owl, maybe you want to start at 6 at night and go till midnight. I don't know. But whatever your time is, pick it and schedule it and treat it like a job so that you're not getting other things built in during that time. Scheduling your day according to a topic is really powerful. And what I mean by this is divide your day into sections. So maybe morning, afternoon, evening, or even better is like divide each day into 90-minute blocks, and then pick a topic or a class that you're going to work on during each of those blocks. If you decided that ahead of time, either the beginning of the day or the beginning of the week, the beauty of deciding that beforehand is that when it comes time to work on that block, you don't have to decide what to do. Because especially as you get towards the end of the day and the end of the week, it becomes much harder to make good choices about what you're going to work on because you're bored and you're tired. And when we're tired, we don't make good choices. right? That's why our parents all say be home before 11, right? Nothing good happens when you're exhausted. So decide beforehand what you're going to work on at each part of the week. And then when you get there, you look at your schedule, it tells you, oh, you're working on biology right now. So then you work on biology instead of having to decide. Okay, here are some resources that I was talking about before. Make an appointment with a librarian. And you don't have to, you're welcome to take a screenshot of this if you want. We also can send you this slide afterwards because this is really helpful stuff. But yeah, so I put the fully expanded links here so that you can just use a screenshot if you want to. But like I was saying, appointments with librarians really help with research. That's what they're there for. They're fabulous. Tips for successful online or in-person learning, both of them. You can do that through all of those online resources I talked about before. 1, 2, 3 page documents. Meet with an academic, meet with an academic skills advisor. So you can meet with me, we can talk one-on-one, other people like me. You can work with a tutor or a writing coach. Like I said, we have group tutoring available and it's free. You've already paid for it. It's part of your tuition, so use it. There's no bad side to going to tutoring. It's not something that you need to feel ever embarrassed about. It's just a really helpful thing that, like I said, you're paying for it as part of your student fees. You might as well be there. And the writing coaches are the same thing. I didn't talk a lot about writing coaches, but that is a service that I think that's maybe my favorite service of everything we offer. In Canada, in Canadian universities, there's a lot of writing that you have to do. I know that some other education systems don't have as much of an emphasis on writing as we have. A lot of folks come here and are used to doing a lot more exams than what we have here and less writing. You're going to have to do some writing. And if you're not confident in your academic writing, if you don't know what I mean when I say academic writing, then go see a writing coach. A big part of their job is to help you make sure that what you're handing in follows all the rules, because there are a lot of rules around academic writing. And they also will help you make sure that the way it's written reads nicely, explains your points well, and gets you the best marks you can. Most of the time, if you go see a writing coach a week before a paper is due with the paper in good shape, you'll end up with, an extra 5, 8, 10% on that paper compared to if you just hand it in yourself. It's one of those things that's just so incredibly helpful. Finally, it's called LinkedIn Learning. It used to be called lynda.com. This bottom link here. If you click on that, actually, why don't we just click on it? LinkedIn Learning is this massive database of different videos about every topic you could ever imagine. This is how you get to it through the Lakehead website. And as a Lakehead student, you get access to the paid version of it, which has literally hundreds of thousands of videos about every topic imaginable. So if you're having a hard time understanding the way your professor has explained something, chances are somebody in LinkedIn Learning has created a video that explains it differently and will help you understand it. So use those. Thank you. I would love to answer questions. I would love to revisit something if there's anything else that you need I talked about. I am here for you.
Thank you so much, Richard, for that insightful presentation. We did get one of the questions, and one of the questions said, I'd never have been through e-learning during my academics. I hope I can cope and get helping hands from Lakehead support.
Yes. Yes, you can. That's what we're here for. So different ways to access that. One is, as international students, you actually have double the support because you've got all the regular university support like what I offer, what the library offers, but then also the international student support like what Latifa offers. So like I said before, you can connect with us either through the international department, lakeheadu.ca/international is their direct link. Use it and follow it to being connected with an advisor. Or if you want to connect directly with me, you can use the My Success portal, mysuccess.lakeheadu.ca. You can log in through my info, or just look up Lakehead Student Success. If you Google that, we will show up, and you can you can connect with one of us. And even if we can't help you with your specific question, we will find who can. Right? That's one thing that Lakehead staff do really well is we share, and we help students find the right answer, rather than just saying, "Oh no, I can't help you. Go figure it out." We'll help you find the person who can help you.
Another question we got was, Mr. Richard, can you share all those links? And don't forget, we'll be sending a link to the recording afterwards. So in that link, you would also have access to all the links that Richard provided to us. So please feel free to take screenshots if you'd like.
Yeah, here you go. I'll just leave this link page up right now. If you want to screenshot it, yeah, go nuts. Or take a photo, yeah.
Another.
Sorry, go ahead, Latifa.
Would it also be okay to type your notes during the lecture, then reward them in physical writing, since I have a difficult time writing quickly?
Yeah, that works. I would recommend going the other way around. So part of if you're not a fast writer, the more you do of it, the faster you'll get.
Right.
Is one thing. But that physical writing, it does more to help embed the information in your memory. If you really, really can't keep up, yeah, type them, sure. And then rewrite them later. I really, really, and the research also says that handwritten tends to work better. But if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, and that's okay.
Absolutely. So another question we got in was, how do we create proper study environment? Great question.
The best is if you can dedicate a room just to school. Mm-hmm. So now, not all of us have this luxury, but if you can have a room in your house that isn't your bedroom and isn't where other people are, so basically an office, that's the best, because then when you go into that room, you go into school mode in your head. You're ready for school. If you don't have that opportunity, then your bedroom is probably the next best spot. Have a table, have a desk, whatever it is, set up in your room where you do schoolwork. Do not attempt to do schoolwork on your bed. Your bed is for sleeping. So as soon as you try to do schoolwork on your bed, you go to sleep.
Right.
Right? Same as the kitchen table. Anytime I sit down at the kitchen table and try to do work, I'm suddenly really hungry. Right? Because I eat at my table, right? And as soon as, if I try to sit on my couch, if I take my laptop to my couch, somehow I end up on Netflix. Mm-hmm. Because that's what my couch is for, right? We associate places with tasks. So if you can create, like set up a table or a desk in one quiet part of your house or home, and only do schoolwork there, that's going to be your best bet. That's the most important part. After that, you'll need a computer, you'll need a laptop, ideally. But if you don't have a laptop, you don't have a laptop, you can make it work. You need a computer, and you need paper, and you need pens. I think binders are really useful, a different binder for every class so you can organize your notes. And a chair that is comfortable and keeps you sitting up straight. Absolutely. Yeah, but really, to me, the most important part is that dedicated space. I hope that answers the question. Yeah, so I think it's very important to definitely have a designated place of study for yourself. It just keeps you more grounded, I find. Oh, yeah, exactly. What we got was, can we choose our course timing as per our wish? Sometimes. So some classes have more than one section of the class that are offered at different times. Some classes don't. Excuse me. So it depends on if it's a class that there's lots and lots and lots of students in, then usually there will be more than one section so you can pick it at different times. Other times you won't. Also, with the modified delivery that we're doing this year, some classes have what we call synchronous delivery, meaning lectures are happening when they're happening and you have to show up if you're going to watch it. Other classes have what we call asynchronous delivery, which means that things are just being posted and then you can kind of do it at your own pace. If you're worried about the timing, a lot of professors will be recording their lectures. And if you're worried about, if your time zone means that when the lecture's happening, you should be sleeping because it's 3 o'clock in the morning, connect with your professor even before the course starts. As soon as you find out the timing, contact your professor and ask if they would be willing to record their lectures. That is up to them if they want to do that, but you connect with them and ask them so that you can watch it later at a time that makes more sense. So the answer to your question is sort of.
So the next question we have is, hello, how can I understand which resources, materials, and softwares I need to prepare myself for my studies? So
software is a great question. You want to make sure that your computer has kind of the latest version of your browser. Google Chrome, if you can use it, tends to work best with all of the Lakehead stuff because a lot of the Lakehead stuff is Google platform. But it's not essential. Just make sure that whatever you're using is up to date. Some courses, depending on what you're taking, some classes have specific software that you need, right? So a lot of engineering courses, you will be required to have drafting software like AutoCAD or design software like MATLAB. In that case, you're going to need to get that. But your professors will tell you if there's specific software you need for the course. As for making sure that you have the right resources, like I said, laptops make life easiest, but they're not essential. I would recommend getting a computer, an actual computer, more than trying to use an iPad for schoolwork. It tends to work a little bit better storage, and just kind of a better operating system for what you're doing. Absolutely. And like I said, lots of pens, lots of paper. Get your textbooks. If you can't get physical textbooks, most of them have digital versions. Get those and use them. And I don't know, Latifa, you were a student much more recently than I was. Is there anything else that you're thinking of?
No, I was going to say that a lot of times if there's something in particular that you need to use, that would be announced by your professor or faculty, so they'll send that to you in an email, in preparation for starting the classes, besides like the regular software and regular gadgets that you need. Any other specific items will be announced by the professor and they'll let you know. Which also ties into the next question, which says some students need to do experiments. So how can they do that when learning online? So I know the university is still working on, what students will be allowed on campus, what students will be allowed to, like partake in experiments, considering everything that's going on. So if you're one of those students, be sure that that will be communicated to you directly in regards to how that would work. Right, Richard?
That's right. And again, those are questions that your specific professors can help answer. Right. So some of the courses, sometimes they'll have a plan already. Some of them probably don't have all the information that you need yet. But you're not going to be expected to do anything that you can't come and do. Right. So the courses will be set up in ways that you're able to do them.
Access them, absolutely. So another question was, what is the difference between Zoom and web-based in course timetable? I think which goes with the synchronicity and asynchronicity, right? Where Zoom is happening in person, professors teaching at the time, so you expect it to be, part of the lesson at that time. And web-based would be a lot more, maybe say a bit more flexible, where you don't have to be present at the same time. You can kind of schedule your hours in a way that, okay, I'm present for my Zoom class and then I can take my web classes later on.
That's right. Yeah, so the web-based will be all based in My Course Link.
Yeah.
That being, if it says it's web-based, that doesn't mean there won't be in-person set or Zoom sessions. Read the course outline really carefully. Know when you're expected to be places, because sometimes you will be.
So the last question we have here is, how do we approach theory and lab with particular subjects, especially given the online learning situation? I think that's what we just answered as well with that.
Yeah, so honestly, the best thing you can do for yourself is plan your time really carefully, and then read everything about your course. Read that course outline really well, write down all the dates that are in it, and before you have a class, do the readings for that class. That way you're ready to understand what they're talking about.
Does anyone have any other questions for us?
Somebody's asking about field experience.
Field experience?
So someone's asking if field experience is compulsory for Masters of Education students to do. Typically it's not. So Masters of Education is not the same as a teaching degree. That's not the same as becoming a teacher. So doing a Masters of Education, if you're a course-based one, then you don't have to do field experience. You may take a course that requires something experiential, but that'd be up to you. And you won't be having to be in a classroom. Some students need to do experiments. How can they do that when learning online? Yeah, we talked about that. That's going to be really, check with your professors about that kind of thing. Are there any facilities considered for those living in countries in sanction like Iran with poor internet connection?
That is where the recording comes into play.
Yeah.
If you needed the professor to record the classes, please feel free to reach out to your professor and just ask, would this be available? Some classes will be available on D2L, but if you needed like specific recording for certain classes, please feel free to reach out to your professor and they'll be able to work that out for you.
Yeah, that's the best bet. Because sometimes if the connection's not working while they're talking, you don't want to be stuck. So asking beforehand, saying, my internet's not reliable, can you please record your lectures so that I can access them later, is a totally reasonable thing to ask.
Right.
But it works, that kind of stuff tends to work best if you speak directly with your professor or email directly with your professor and do it with as much notice as you can.
Right.
Tell them ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Anyone else have a question?
We have about 5 more minutes before the webinar comes to an end. Any other questions? Okay, I think we got one.
Oh, here's a great question. Yeah, how do you get your professor's email address? That's an excellent question. You get your professor's email access by reading your course outline. So when you, as we get closer to the time that the courses are starting, you'll notice that in My Course Link, you'll start having more courses show up that you can log into. When you log in, your professor's contact information will be there. Usually in the course outline, there also is a message feature through My Course Link where you can message your professor directly. Another question. Oh, thank you for clearing our doubts. I hope that we have. You're very welcome. Do we have free access to resources or should we purchase them? It depends on the resources. As a Lakehead student, you do have free access to lots of things, like the pro version of Zoom, for instance. You, as a Lakehead student, you have the upgraded Zoom account, but you, excuse me, computer, you're going to need to buy that. Textbooks, you're going to need to buy your own textbooks. That stuff's not provided, but other things are. So I can't really answer that really well, other than to say sometimes things are free, sometimes they're not so free.
Absolutely. Just like everywhere else.
Exactly. And the question about registering without a study permit and pay the tuition fees through my funding.
For every question regarding immigration and study permits and registering for classes, please save them for our Immigration Tuesday. So every week on Tuesdays, we have our immigration advisor, Jennifer Hay. She comes on live here from 10 to 11 a.m. as well. So please come back on that day and ask her any questions directly, and she'll be able to answer it to you appropriately. As Richard said, please remember that we're here to support and be of guide and help to you. So if you have any questions, if you need any support, if anything comes to mind, even at the end of this webinar, please feel free to send us an email and we'll be happy to answer those questions for you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining today's session, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks a lot, folks.
Bye, everyone.